Hi, hello and welcome to Quarter Playbook. Today we will be discussing systems that scale patient volume in radiology. My name is Otilia Komsha, and at Radiology Marketing Growth Agency over the past 5 years, we've been working with imaging centers and radiology practices to generate more patients, more referrals, and fewer no-shows. And today's session was inspired by a call, an actual conversation that I had with one of our partners who said, "We just had our best quarter on record." Their calendar was booked 2 weeks in advance, which was a good and a bad problem to have, as I learned, but more about this later on. But this made me think, if this is what's working right now, then this is what we need to share. And this is why this session today matters. As you probably know, and as we see in the markets today, the patient journey in radiology has changed. And today's patients don't simply go where their doctor sends them. They do their research online, they compare providers, they read the reviews, and they expect convenience, self-scheduling, reminders, follow-ups, delivered in the same way that they experience great service everywhere else in their lives. And yet what we see is that most imaging centers are still relying on outdated websites and generic marketing approaches that don't actually fit our industry. And some are even overlooking HIPAA compliance along the way, which leaves them exposed to this compliance risk. In this gap between what patients expect today and the outdated systems and websites that we see is exactly where we think that volumes decrease and where we see that reputation online suffers. And with AI accelerating so quickly, what was true 6 months ago is already looks different now. So I felt that this is the right moment to step back and ask ourselves, what is actually working today and how should we prepare for 2026? So that's what we'll cover in today's session. We will go through first the growth playbook for a record quarter from a real case study of an imaging center with multiple locations. And we'll walk through the systems and the leadership decisions and the mindset that made a huge difference in achieving these results. Second, we will discuss how imaging centers are becoming the provider of choice for referring physicians and PAIs in their local markets. And third, how AI is reshaping patient access in radiology. And I will give a demo and introduce you to SARA, which is our smart assistant for radiology access, and show you how SARA is helping us with patient journeys. A few words about us. Our vision is very clear. From what we see on the market, we feel that the future will belong to practices that know how to build trust online, on mobile especially. They know how to create the ideal patient journey, and they know how to use AI to strengthen but not to replace the real human connection. And here's something about a little bit nerdy about us that made my day. Google ranked us #1 for the keyword radiology marketing because we built a system that works specifically for radiology and not generic SEO, not generic healthcare marketing, not hospital marketing, but radiology marketing system. So with that said, let's dive into the case study. The first leadership decision was to commit to direct-to-patient marketing. The mindset here is simple, and the brief we had was we need to compete where patients are already searching and remove reliance on a single person or source. Some imaging centers still assume that volume will come through referrals, but the reality is that patients today and what we see in the market are making their own choices, and they search for terms like MRI near me or CT scan plus CT name. And if you don't show up there, you've already lost them because they will go to another provider. So we invested in local Google campaigns that targeted patients actively searching for imaging services in their local areas. And instead of just counting on clicks, we tracked every step from the first search through the website all the way through the scheduled scan with KPI reports that measured every cost per click, the conversion for the call button, and every form on the website. Here's what we put in place. We built out a new set of website content assets, service pages for MRI, CT scans, ultrasound, and X-ray, combined service and location pages so that patients saw exactly what's available near them, dedicated insurance content clusters and informational videos because patients want to know, does my plan cover this? And they also have a high level of anxiety. So any information about what it takes to take an MRI or a CT scan is really appreciated. We also optimized all of the Google Business Profile listings. We built more than 30 citations for each location to strengthen local search signals. And finally, we launched targeted Google Ads campaigns that were tied directly to conversion. So we didn't follow vanity clicks because here's the truth, what we saw, that presence and visibility is our foundation. If patients cannot find you as an imaging center, they will choose another provider. The results were dramatic. Organic traffic tripled. The paid ads drove more than 5,000 patient visits. They ranked in the top 5 on Google for high intent searches like MRI near me and MRI center plus city name. And the visibility of their Google business listings expanded significantly. That's not just marketing noise, it was actually a patient demand that was tracked into the business results and into the scheduling pipeline. And it wasn't necessarily about spending more or launching a big campaign, but it was about being present on all the channels where patients already are and being very, very visible. And here's what it looked like in practice. This chart shows the organic website session, their evolution over time. You can see there a steady upward trend from under 500 visits in the fall of last year to over 1,500 visits by August. This is all free traffic. And that's the kind of growth curve you want to see with SEO, not spikes, but consistent compounding results, because every new patient who finds you through search can possibly be one more appointment in the calendar without adding extra budget to the ads or extra effort. So this is why we believe that direct-to-patient visibility isn't optional anymore, and it is a prerequisite for growth. And now on this slide, let's zoom in on patient actions, because traffic alone is obviously not enough. So here's what happened. For one location, this is the chart for just one location. Impressions on search increased, meaning that the center showed up more often when patients searched locally. Site actions increased with 3.2%, and phone action increased by 20% month to month. That means that 20% more patients in their local area picked up the phone to schedule a review, to schedule a scan, sorry. And within 1 year, there were 449 reviews with average rating of 4.9. And this is what a successful local SEO campaign looks like, where patients actually take action. And finally, here's what it looks like live in Google. So this is the anatomy of a Google search page. And when someone searches for MRI near me or CBCT scan near me, plus city name, the patient journey breaks down into percentages. And 50 to 20% of clicks go to the paid ad, 30 to 35% of clicks go to the local map pack, and another 30 to 35% go to the organic listing. And you can see here that in this case, the imaging center dominated all three sections of Google. So this is why you cannot just rely on one channel. You need to be present in all three zones of patient attention with ads on Google Maps and organic. When we combined all of these, we achieved what we like to call local domination in the area. And this is the kind of positioning that shifts a center from a fluctuating growth to record quarters. Decision number 2 was to treat reputation as a growth engine, not just a side note that no one takes care about. So here's the reality. Patients will not trust a 3.9 score imaging center. And if you have under 50 reviews and a score that's 3, you're invisible compared to the center down the street with hundreds of 5-star reviews. So the standard we set was very, very clear, a minimum of 4.7 star rating and over 500 reviews for each center, for each location in the network. And how did we get there? With system. A system that we put in place for automated review requests that were sent to every patient, and every review was answered within minutes using AI to handle volume at scale. So no patient review was left ignored. And the AI was able to answer reviews in both Spanish and English within 5 minutes, because every unanswered review is a missed opportunity to show future patients that you care and that you are actually listening to what they have to say. So how did this translate into growth? Let's put some numbers behind this. The average patient review score for imaging centers in US is 3.9. This is based on analysis of thousands of imaging centers. And half of them only have 7 reviews or less in total. 7 reviews. That's just unique in Google Maps, I would say. But meanwhile, the average for all local businesses on Google is 4.3. So imaging centers are actually performing worse than businesses, all the businesses on Google. So we're talking mom and pop stores, so every other business. So a good question to ask is, if patients compare providers, like they compare restaurants or hotels when they book their vacation, which center do they choose? The one with a handful of reviews and a 3.7 score, or the one with 500 reviews and a 4.9 average? So this is why reputation and review score is not just marketing fluff and is not just nice to have. It's actually the most visible signal of trust. And right now, AI lets us scale this process to handle high volumes automatically. And this is how you can actually turn reputation into a system. So how did we do it? First, we created a process that collected reviews automatically. Every patient either receives a link right after appointment, or is using the NFC Review Me stands. We equipped each location with the NFC review stand. So if you haven't seen them already, I'll show them in the next slides. But how it works is actually you have a beautiful stand at reception, and patients just tap their phone, leave a review on the spot just with a swipe, and there's absolutely no friction. The AI actually allows us to answer each review in under 5 minutes without overloading the staff, without creating more friction. And at the same time, AI flags sensitive ones that we need to follow up with the local operational management. So, for instance, negative reviews and so on. What we also did was use location photo shoots, authentic images. We posted authentic team and facility photos, not stock photography and not images that repeat for every center. The guiding principle here is that trust is built with consistency, and consistency is achieved through automation. Let's look at the results. On this slide, you can see that the effort of building this process actually generated significant results that speak for themselves. We collected over 500 new reviews for each location. We increased the average rating to 4.9 across all locations. This was a significant win. And based on these results, we achieved with 20% more conversions on Google business listings because positive reviews, actually improve rankings, and higher rankings drive clicks. This generated also a big impact on the geographic visibility, and the map with the local rankings showed more green dots, meaning that the center was showing up as a trusted provider on either the first or the second position in their area for the keywords that they targeted. And this is the NFC plug that I mentioned. The NFC technology allows us to actually gain positive reviews on autopilot with just a simple swipe. This is a very small but a very powerful tool. We place it in reception, and instead of asking patients to go home and maybe remember to leave a review, we actually do the review asking process immediately after they finish their exam. They paid, so we know that they were happy with the service, and with a simple tap on the phone, they leave a review in real time, just a swipe for 5 stars. And think about the psychology here. The moment after the scan, when the experience is fresh and positive, is the perfect time to capture a review. And when you can scale that across hundreds of patients, reputation becomes an asset for the business. And this is how it works, and I'll show you right now. One tap, one review. Patients don't need to type an URL or scan a QR code. You can see here in the video. They simply tap on their phone, Google opens, and they leave a review. It's that simple. We like to call it a smart reputation management process. It's frictionless, it's instant, and it removes all resistance from creating a positive reputation. For staff, we actually have a very in-depth training for the local operational staff, and it's very simple. They ask, would you mind tapping here and leaving us a quick review? And that's it. And when you add AI on the back end to reply instantly, you have a closed loop. Reviews come in, responses go out, and trust compounds day after day. It's not dependent on any manager or staff. Here's the impact visually. On the left, you see what this center local search positioning looked like before the reputation management process, with lots of orange and red even, meaning they weren't showing up in positions 1 to 4, let's say, in many areas for the keywords that they targeted. In this case, imaging center in Mountain View, California. But on the right, you can see that more and more dots turn to green. So their higher rankings showed up on the map, and patients were able to find them and choose them first. So reviews don't just build trust with patients, but they also feed Google's algorithm. Um, it usually means that when you have more reviews, you have higher rankings and you have better local visibility. So I would like to stress again, we take reputation very seriously. It's not just social proof, it's not just nice to have. It's an SEO driver, volume driver, and ultimately revenue driver. So in case you want to scale, or in case you're looking to grow an asset from your brand, which has a value in the case of evaluation. So if you're selling or you go through this assessment process, reputation is actually very, very important to make sure that your brand name has a value. The third decision was to redesign the patient access journey, because clicks don't matter if they don't turn into booked scans. So what we found is that many centers, even if they invested in beautiful websites, the path from the first click to an actual appointment is broken. When they have too much friction, no matter how pretty the website is, then you're missing on the opportunity to actually create appointments. So we redesigned the patient access journey by building service-specific landing pages, so that, for instance, someone looking for an MRI didn't have to dig through irrelevant content on the website. We moved to a mobile-first design because nowadays over 70% of patient traffic comes from phones. And we enabled self-scheduling, which means that patients could book instantly 24/7 without waiting for office hours. The mindset shift here is don't count clicks, don't count traffic, don't just look at website design, count booked scans that are coming from online. That's the metric that really matters. Now, when we talk about convenience and removing friction, we mean that you need to create multiple conversion points. And that's what we did in this case. We realized that just having a single contact us form or even a dedicated contact page on the website is not enough. We added an easy to call mobile floating button that follows the visitor wherever they are on the website. We added self-scheduling modules for each service page. We build a workflow just for patients who wanted to request a scan quotation. And we added insurance authorization forms so that patients could submit all their documents online. And then recently and critically, we implemented SARA, which is our smart assistant for radiology access voice agent. She answers calls after hours, captures missed calls, missed inquiries, and ensures that no patient is left waiting. Every one of these conversion points is HIPAA compliant because compliance is obviously non-negotiable from any workflow. And this next slide says it all, I think. Back in 2015, a typical imaging center website had one single generic contact us form. That was the entire patient access strategy. But fast forward to 2025, what we see is that all leading centers have evolved and their websites have modern booking flows by service, by location, with digital forms and integrations into the call center. And that's what we did with this workflow. The key difference, I think, from this perspective and the key mind shift is that in 2015, patients had to fit into the workflows that were provided. But in 2025, every imaging center needs to adapt to the patient behavior online and to adapt the workflow to fit the behavior. And that's the major shift that we see. And when we implemented self-scheduling, patients could see the availability in real time and book their scan instantly. This helped them because they didn't need to wait on hold unnecessarily. They could do it on their way back from work. They didn't need to call during office hours, and moreover, they didn't need to fax anything. Who still uses faxes, by the way? So this isn't just a nice to have convenience feature from our perspective, it's a real volume driver. Moreover, because every self-scheduled appointment is HIPAA compliant and fully integrated with the calendar, the staff doesn't have so many scheduling admin tasks. They can focus more on patient care and they can benefit from this advantage. And here's what happened when convenience was built into the system. The marketing system generated over 1,000 qualified calls, all tracked and recorded. So one exercise that we did was to listen to the conversations in order to train the call center staff and to train the AI voice that takes the calls. Over 150 appointments, booked appointments, were made since we implemented the system, and SARA answered over 40% more calls after hours, calls that normally would have gone to voicemail before. But I don't know if you know this, the average voicemail is actually 9 seconds. So no one leaves voice messages anymore. So while direct to patient marketing is critical, referrals are still the backbone of diagnostic imaging. And what we feel that changed are the expectations of referring physicians and PIs. They don't just want a scan report, they want reports that speak their language, timelines, billing, um, any details that they can use, and they want a communication that's proactive and not reactive. So the decision was to strengthen these relationships and implement a system for a strategic outreach campaign, a nurturing emailing campaign, and creating online HIPAA compliant forms that made it very, very easy to refer online. So when we align on the website, the messaging of what physicians and PIs actually need, referrals stop being transactional and start being more connected to growth. And this is a checklist that became our baseline for PI growth. On presence, does your website make it clear you work with PIs? A lot of websites don't, by the way. Do you have content that speaks their language? On trust, do you have hundreds of reviews at 4.7 or higher? Do your radiology reports provide the level of detail that they need? Is this information available on the website? Do you communicate a dedicated PI workflow on your website? Do you make billing and turnaround transparent? Is it easy for them to send you cases? Now let me close by bringing everything together. What you've seen today is not a set of random marketing activities. It's a system, the radiology marketing system. It has 3 interconnected parts: patient acquisition, turning search interest into scheduled scans through SEO, ads, and reputation management; patient connect, keeping patients engaged with 24/7 self-scheduling, reminders, and digital forms; and physician liaison and PI's liaison, expanding the referral base with structured outreach and HIPAA-compliant referral workflows. When these 3 modules work together, you don't just get more volume or more inquiries, you get a stronger positioning in your market and a certainty of growth. And this is my monitoring KPIs. We are able to move to record quarters. Now, the natural next step is simple. If you want to see what this could mean for your practice, we can actually prepare a 10-mile radius growth report for your specific location. It shows you exactly how you're performing against patient demand in your area and against your competition, and where the hidden opportunities are. Or if you'd prefer to have a self-assessment first, you can download the Radiology Practice Growth Checklist and benchmark your imaging center against what's driving results in 2025. Yeah. In any case, thank you for today, and I look forward to connecting with those of you who want to take this conversation into a private strategy session. Thank you very much.